First up, we have the wonderful views provided by the Capitol campus, the wonderful corridor that provides views of Capitol Lake, the Olympia waterfront, and the Olympic Mountains. The history of this, let me tell you a little bit about the history. In about 1900s, this was all envisioned by architects Walter Wilder and Harry White, who were also influenced by the Olmsted brothers, who were consultants from 1911 to 1912. The Olmsted brothers also were in charge of the landscaping for the Capitol campus during that time. This view has been absolutely incredible for many, many years, and it's been used by so many people. And today we are very pleased to have State Supreme Court Justice Gerry Alexander here to talk to us a little bit about the view corridor. Can you tell us, first of all, welcome and thank you for being here.
Mr. Wolfe, nice to be here with you.
Can you tell us a little bit about the facilities and how they fit the vision of the original dream?
Well, the architects who were given the responsibility for designing the State Capitol campus, or the West Capitol campus that we enjoy today, were, as you mentioned, Wilder and White. They were architects from New York City. They entered a competition. Many architects presented their vision of what the Capitol campus should look like. And in 1911, Wilder and White were awarded the opportunity to design the Capitol campus. And one of the things they envisioned was this view of the Olympic Mountains, Budd Inlet, and there was no Capitol Lake at that time because Capitol Lake wasn't created until 1950. Right. That was all salt water down there, and salt water ran all the way to the Tumwater. But they also envisioned this overlook that we're on right now, and a grand staircase that went down to the water. And they also envisioned a large Arc de Triomphe, like the one in Paris, down there at the bottom, which of course has never been built. But they could see that this was a magnificent place to have the Capitol campus on this hill overlooking this grand view, which we enjoy today just as much as they enjoyed it back in those days.
We certainly do. And can you talk a little bit about the amenities? I know we've got everything down there, from trails, we've got walkers, we've got bikers, we've got hiking, not hiking, but well, if you call that hiking on the trails, but all kinds of sports events. I see my family comes down from Tacoma all the way down here because they'd rather be running and walking on this path and these views, seeing these views. So what other amenities do we have? Can you say a little bit about that?
Well, they are considerable, of course, and they have improved in the last 15 or 20 years. Heritage Park below is part of the State Capitol campus. It's maintained by the Department of General Administration. I think it's just lovely with the lawn and the walkway around the lake all the way to the west side bridge, the Friendship Bridge, I think they call it now. And this overlook has been built within the last 10 years. It's actually a law enforcement memorial, a memorial to law enforcement officers in Washington who have been slain in the course of duty. And it has really improved the view. I've been officed in the Temple of Justice right next door for 17 years, and when I first went on the court, we really didn't have much of a view because there were trees here that blocked the view. And when they built this overlook, they got rid of those trees, and now there's just low-lying shrubbery, and it really has improved the view here from the Capitol campus. There's also walkways down to the lake. You can see people down there right now walking, and that's a great place for recreation for our community. They can gain access to the lake, walk around the lake, walk all over the city. So it's really terrific, and I think it's something that we as Olympians and residents of Thurston County can enjoy, along with the rest of the citizens of the state.
It's obviously very beautifully maintained. Can you say a word about how is this managed? Who takes care of all this, and how is it paid for?
Well, it's maintained by the Department of General Administration, which is a department of the Washington State government, and it adjoins property that's owned by the city, where they have the water park just across Fifth Avenue, and also which then adjoins Percival Landing Park that the city of Olympia maintains. So there's a real joinder here between amenities that have been provided by the city of Olympia, the taxpayers of the city of Olympia and the taxpayers of the state of Washington. This walkway around the lake is used mightily. I mean, you can look down there now. There's people there all the time, by individuals. A lot of dog walking. I have 2 dogs. I bring my dogs down here and walk around the lake, and sometimes it's dogs on parade. I'm not kidding you. And there's some beautiful animals that are walked around by their owners. And there are running events around here. As you know, Capitol Lake Fair holds its event down here in July each year, replete with a carnival and rides and other events. So this is a well-used piece of property, and I think it looks better now than it really has ever looked.
Well, I would certainly agree with that. I've worked here at the Capitol probably most of my working life, other than the last 10 years, and it's just ever more beautiful. Every time I see it, it's just gorgeous. It's an incredible asset to this community. Well, if people want to know more about how they can help maintain this or get involved, is there anything you'd like to tell them?
Well, right now, I don't. Nothing is perfect, but right now the Heritage Park down next to the lake and this trail leads to it is really in fine shape. There is an ongoing controversy about whether the lake should exist or whether the dam that makes it a lake should be taken out and this turned into a saltwater estuary. But that's really a separate issue from the maintenance of Heritage Park.
It was a lake, and it's a beautiful lake.
I'm old enough to remember when it was a saltwater estuary.
I'm old enough. I just don't remember.
I think I was about in the 8th grade when they put the dam in, and I remember as a kid walking across the West Side's bridge and seeing the last shovelful of dirt put in to pinch it off and make it a lake. And at that time, everyone said, "Hurrah! The tide won't go out here anymore in what's now Capitol Lake." But that's another issue, and we probably needn't get into that today. But I think the park itself and the view here is just extraordinary, and I'm glad that it's been determined by the residents as one of the 7 wonders.
Well, not only was it determined as the number 1, but it was by a huge majority. We had a lot of responses, so it was definitely one of the favorites of the 7 wonders.
Well, it really enhances our state capitol campus, which I think is one of the most beautiful state capitol campuses in the United States. And Wilder and White had a great vision here of having not just one Capitol building, but a campus. And it really is. We're very fortunate in Washington that we have it, and happily our state government has taken good care of these buildings and the surrounding grounds, which you pointed out. The landscaping was done by the famous Olmsted brothers of Boston, Massachusetts. They did the landscaping for Central Park in New York, the Chicago World's Fair of 1893, Lake Washington Boulevard, the University of Washington campus. I mean, they've done a lot of work all over the United States and perhaps even in foreign countries. And so that's another great legacy we have, that the Olmsted brothers designed the landscaping here on our beautiful state capitol campus.
Well, no wonder it's such a treasure. And so I've heard for many years that this is one of the, who knows, I don't know if there's ever been any contest to verify this, but I've heard from many people for many years that we have the most beautiful campus in the United States. And I personally choose to believe that. So.
I do too.
Okay, very good.
And there's other, I've seen other state capitals, and there's some beautiful ones, but I don't think there's a setting that's as unique as this one, with next to the southernmost point of Puget Sound. If you got in a boat down here, you could go to China.
That's right. And not only all the mountains, the water, but you've got surrounded by trees as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I, too, have seen several, not all of them, but several. And I certainly vote for this one.
I do, too.
Anytime.
I do, too.
Well, thank you.